are still listening to Inspiration 92.3 FM, your number one family radio. But it's time for Wellness Wednesday, and it's a full studio today. Oh, I'm so excited. We're going to have a very interesting conversation. We have our resident doctor, as always, Dr. Charles. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Beatrice is in the studio. Okay, is right here.
Good morning.
Good morning. But we have a very special guest, and I'm super excited that she's here today. She is Stephanie Coker. You all know who she is. She needs no introduction. She's an award-winning television host, actress, producer, content creator, entrepreneur, passionate about philanthropy, storytelling, family, women, and womanhood. Today we're here to talk about her documentary that is out on Amazon Prime. It is called Where the Heck Is My Period? And I think the most catching thing about your documentary is the name. I'm still going to ask you how you came about that. She is a courageous individual who navigates the challenges of PCOS on a personal level. The documentary Where the Heck Is My Period goes beyond the traditional boundaries of filmmaking, offering a raw and intimate perspective on the experiences of those living with PCOS. Driven by her own experiences, Stephanie Coker 𝐈𝐍𝐒𝐿. I actually had to go ask my Yoruba professionals, like, hey Joe, did I get the pronunciation of that name correctly? Can you pronounce it for me? 𝐈𝐍𝐒𝐿, beautiful name, is committed to raising awareness about PCOS and dismantling stigmas around the often misunderstood condition. Her dedication to shedding light on physical and emotional and societal aspects of PCOS, not only in her documentary but also in her broader advocacy efforts. And I hear that it is the first documentary, the first licensed Amazon Prime documentary in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It is so good to have you in the studio. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. I have to say shout out to you. Watching that documentary, or part of it, because I was there for the premiere.
Yeah.
And it was quite triggering, just the first few minutes that we watched it. I've heard about PCOS. I've never met anybody that had PCOS or dealing with PCOS. But hearing the stories of the women that shared their truth in your documentary was quite, I have goosebumps even talking about it, because remembering everything that he said is very triggering and very courageous to get them to open up and share their story. Why did you decide to come forward with your story and your truth? Because it takes courage for you to do that.
Yeah, that's always a good question. Everybody asks me, but to be honest, I wasn't really thinking about myself when I said, I'm going to tell my story amongst the other women's stories as well. I wasn't thinking people are now going to know that I have PCOS. I was just thinking there's other young girls out there that are going through this and they don't have anybody to look to or to see that, okay, this person is a public figure and this is what they're living with. I was just okay, I need to do this for the younger ones, because I didn't have anyone to look up to and say, okay, you know what, I'm not a freak, or there's nothing wrong with me per se, it's just, it is what it is. But yeah, that's ultimately why I did it.
For those of you who don't know, PCOS is polycystic
ovarian syndrome.
When did you find out?
When I was 17.
And how was it then? Because I was having a conversation with a doctor, and he said that often doctors in Nigeria misdiagnose PCOS, right, doc?
Yeah, that happens a lot, because the symptoms may not be clear cut, and then you have to have a high index of suspicion for it. So typically when a woman comes in and presents with features that suggests it, then the doctor should run relevant tests in order to confirm the diagnosis and start the management.
So where did you get diagnosed, in Nigeria or abroad?
In the UK, by my GP. Well, so I had symptoms like irregular periods, hormonal acne, and what really was the trigger for me was the excessive hair growth on my face.
I heard that.
Yeah, it was really annoying, because I was like, what's going on? I'm not a man. Why do I have it on my face? And one of my schoolmates pointing it out. So that's why I actually went to the hospital, to the GP. And then they sent me to the hospital to do ultrasound or transvaginal scan. And then the woman was just like, oh yeah, you have cysts on your ovaries. And I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, you probably have PCOS. And I'm like, okay,
I never heard of that before.
Yeah, so I had to go back to the GP, and then she just pulled up, she googled PCOS and showed me this is what it is. We'll give you benzoyl peroxide for the acne, and Dianet, which is a contraceptive pill, and then that just made it worse, to be honest. So I just stopped that. Yeah.
That made it worse.
Yeah, because it can worsen symptoms. That's the thing about contraceptive pill. Trying to treat PCOS with it. Sometimes it can worsen symptoms. Not for everyone.
So what was the point or the time where you decided I have to do a documentary about?
It's actually when I left the GP, right? I vividly remember walking to my house and I was like, oh, one day I'm gonna tell this story. Like, something is going to come of this. I'm not gonna allow this define me, but I'm going to actually do something impactful with this. So immediately, you know what, it's just funny because I never ever mentioned that I had PCOS all these years to anybody in the entertainment industry. Nobody knew. So when we decided, okay, I'm going to do a documentary, I was like, the time has come. Because throughout my whole career, I've always said to God, I always said that I want to use me to do impactful things. I want to be a public figure of substance. I used to pray that prayer, I want to be a blessing unto others. There was a time where I even got fed up. I said, okay, you know what, why am I praying this prayer? It's like, I don't understand the meaning of it, because why is it everybody's always getting things through me, and then sometimes I would now be looking for who will help me. But sometimes if you don't need help, you probably just need God. God is gonna do it, sort it out for you. So sorry, I got a bit spiritual there, but that's really, it was really a voice from God that said, oh, don't worry, one day. Yeah, and now the day has come.
And I have to say, well done, because I'm sure that you've inspired a lot of women to come forward and tell the truth. How did you get the women in the documentary to come forward? Because I saw quite known faces. And then so we did like a casting call, put out a call to action, please, if you have PCOS. But then there's this group called PCOS Conquerors, and it's run by 𝐒𝐨𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐭. I hope I pronounced her name right. And she was like, she put it out in the group, and there were women that were like, oh, they want to share their story, they want to help other girls and women out there living with PCOS. So it was very brave of them, and without them, without all the cast members, it just wouldn't be possible, because we had people that we flew in from the north, I saw that
Kaduna, Abuja, and they were just really open, and it was very inspirational watching them. Even live, it was raw. There's a lot of times I broke down and cried. It was a lot. Even when you get to certain parts in the documentary, you'll be like, wow, women really are going through it, because even them, they have different symptoms. There was a woman that her symptom was, she used to wake up and her voice would just be deep in the morning.
That happens, dog?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and their foot size fluctuates. I started noticing that though, but I think that's to do with insulin, to be honest. So there's so many things. You wake up and you're tired, and you have to explain to people that you're tired, and they're like, but you just slept, you're lazy. And it's like, no, I don't know why I'm tired. And you have insomnia, your sleeping is just off. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what's the biggest misconception that you face? People had about PCOS, because I heard they say maybe the story of a lady at the beginning, of a young girl, which I absolutely loved, where she said she was pregnant, where she said she hadn't seen a period, or she told her mother she hadn't seen a period for 3 months, and she's like, royalty mockery, react or something like that. And I know a lot of young girls go through that because they don't understand what's going on with them.
Because there's a lot of ignorance, there's not enough awareness, so you can't blame parents as well. They're not aware of PCOS. So if your child just comes to you and says, I haven't had a period for 4 months, you would assume that you're pregnant. Which is very traumatic for a young child, because it's like, what do you mean? How do you even get pregnant? Maybe they don't even know how it even happens. Some people have proved this. So that's that. Your parent not trusting you or believing you it's a lot. You go to the hospital with them, and then you have to do a pregnancy test for a 14-year-old, because you're assuming that she's pregnant when she's not,
because that's the only explanation they understand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so getting everybody together, who are the other people that work with you?
The director, I'm a psalmist, absolutely amazing. I had a male director, and I was like, wait, so I don't know if I can, are you going to really understand? But he's really emotionally available. So he really understood. He was very sensitive to the women. When we needed to cut, we really were like, okay, it's enough. Because this woman's about to break down. We can't.
Yeah, because that's another thing. How were you able to put all the emotions all over the place?
A lot of tissue and hugs. Yeah. And then our producer as well, our other producer Abdul. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Then we had a lot. Then the rest were like women, like production managers. Yeah, all of that. So we had a really great team because we had a lot of things trying to work against us. As production spirit, they call it production spirit. So something must go wrong
with going on.
Yeah.
So okay, so basically there's Wellness Wednesday. We're trying to create awareness.
Yes.
And not a lot of people know about PCOS. There are a lot of women dealing with it, probably are confused. They don't know what's going on with them. They don't understand what's going on with their body, especially the teenagers and the young ones.
Yeah.
What exactly do you expect this documentary to do to help that situation?
You know, the statistics that came out, I think last year for Nigeria, it states 1 in 6 women in Nigeria have PCOS. 1 in 10 women have PCOS globally. But I just recently saw the 1 in 6 and I was like, wow.
1 in 6?
Yeah, that's very high. And for us to not have enough awareness around something that can lead to more serious conditions like heart disease, endometrial cancer and type 2 diabetes, it's quite scary because the issue with PCOS is that you need to manage it. It can't be cured, but you need to manage it. So you have to be careful of what you're eating. You need to work with it, kind of like a nutritionist, or just Google the right things to eat when you have PCOS and the things that you should be doing, shouldn't be doing. Even with fertility, because that's the only time they really talk about PCOS. They only tie it to fertility because it is one of the leading causes of infertility. Yeah.
Okay.
So they only so a lot of the time the doctor will tell you, oh, when you want to get pregnant again, just come back. And I'm like, but what about in between? So you really should talk to a gynecologist as well. Like, what can you do? Because I did that. I didn't do that. I'm naughty. I didn't have a period for a whole year, and I wasn't bothered, but I don't think periods are like that much fun. So yeah, but when it comes back, it's very bad. Like, I ended up in hospital. Yeah, because it's too much. It's just
just coming back.
It just, even when it doesn't go for a year, it can just go on for. There's a woman that DM'd me and she's like, oh, she had a period for 3 months. That's not anything new to me. People always message me stuff like that in terms of when they want to talk about PCOS. All the messages I've been receiving, it's like, oh yeah, my period is like this long.
It's not new to you anymore.
No, but that's so scary, right? Because why would somebody be bleeding for 3 months?
We bleed for 5 days and I'm complaining.
Yeah, so
oh my goodness.
So I like that you mentioned that it's worrying that such a condition doesn't have enough awareness and could pose a health risk for people who carry it. And I want to ask the doctor, what are some of the risk factors of PCOS?
Well, basically, there is some kind of genetic basis. It can run in families sometimes. And though we're not very aware of all the specific genes that are associated with the transmission, but if you have a sister, you have an auntie, or a female that is directly related to you who has had PCOS, then your chances of having it is also higher.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And PCOS, like she rightly mentioned, is the leading cause of infertility. So if a person has been finding it difficult to conceive for a while, and they've gone to do all the relevant investigations and you are still not able to nail what the cause of the infertility is, then PCOS is something to be considered because it's quite prevalent and it's something that we should have a high index of suspicion for.
So why is it always misdiagnosed here in Nigeria?
Well, the truth of the matter is that from what she has rightly said, people miss their periods and everybody thinks pregnancy. Everybody thinks, oh, you try to be smart. You don't want to tell anybody
the truth of what's going on.
So for a teenager or a young lady, it would be quite difficult for her to be able to manage the emotions of not knowing what is wrong with her body and not having trusted people around her that she can actually confide in. I don't actually know what is going on. I'm not pregnant, but my period is nowhere to be found. Then I know it also has some emotional aspects to it apart from fertility. The deepening of the voice, the acne outbreaks, the hairiness, hair across the abdomen, male pattern distribution of hair, on the chin, the sideburns,
even the chest.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have to do laser or else.
Do you do that constantly or laser is just permanent?
I've been doing laser for like 12 years. No, 15 years. Since laser came out, I've been doing laser hair removal, but it's much cheaper now. It's not it's just significantly cheaper. But before I used to pay in dollars. So imagine my friends are spending the money on fun stuff, and I was here trying to get rid of hair on my stomach.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first time I'm actually hearing, well, after watching your documentary, it's the first time I'm actually hearing of the symptoms that women go through. The bleeding for the 3 months. How do you survive that? Bleeding for that long?
Well, I go to the doctor because after like 2 weeks, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's actually enough.
So do you just bleed, or is it accompanied with like cramps for the entire
it's just like a period. Like, it's just
painful period for 3 months?
Yeah, well, yeah, because, I wouldn't say it's any different. It's still cramp.
Wow.
Oh my god.
And then the issue is that you can now also become anemic because you just like bleeding. Like for me, I really have like, because it messes with my iron levels, so that's why I don't just leave it when that happens. But that's when I actually find the period. When you find it, please return to me. That's my own problem. Like, I'm even looking for it.
Oh my goodness. So after the documentary came out, have you gotten a lot of messages from women?
Yes, and they're talking, there's somebody that messaged my husband and was like, when your wife said she did IVF, I was just so happy. Thank you for supporting and allowing her, share her story, because that really like allowed her to go and do the IVF. It's when she saw that she's not like, she's the same age as me or whatever, so she didn't feel like, okay, maybe it's for older people, since Stephanie has done it. And then there are women just from different walks of life been messaging me that, they can really relate, these are their symptoms, and it's just really hard because nobody understands, and they don't want to use it as an excuse to not be able to get their work done. But sometimes it's just really hard, and it also causes depression because the hormonal levels. So your mental health is just like up and down. It's like you're happy, and then the moment you could just be sad.
So how have you been able to deal with all because you said there's no cure? So how
doctor, there's no
it is actually a condition that is being managed, and I think it's important for us to also note here that apart from the infertility, even if you do get pregnant, there is always a chance of recurrent miscarriages, because the quality of eggs are poor, because there are a lot of hormonal issues. You have high androgen levels, you have another hormone called LH is elevated, FSH is depressed, and then you can also have hyperinsulinemia. That's when she mentioned about type 2 diabetes, so you can have a chance of actually having your sugar going up with you adding weight without trying. You just find out that you're just adding weight and finding it difficult to conceive, and even if you do conceive, recurrent miscarriages. So if there is any woman out there who is having a history of recurrent miscarriages, please try to find out if PCOS may be responsible. So basically it's something that is managed on medications and lifestyle changes and dietary changes. Losing weight, exercising
out. Not eating sugar. Another thing about PCOS is it makes you want to eat sugar, like anything sweet, especially you have these cravings at night, and it's just like somebody is talking to you, go and eat the chocolate in the cupboard. And there's a point where I would eat so much chocolate, my hand will start shaking. So I know that it's affecting me, so I'm like, I'm not eating the sugar anymore, because my friends know me that I must eat dessert. It doesn't matter the restaurant. You will bring me something, you bring me puff, you bring me a pineapple, I must eat something sweet at the end. So when I read more about PCOS, I was like, oh, okay, but I don't want to blame it on PCOS. Maybe I'm just a sweet tooth. But most people that have it have told me that they wouldn't be eating shawarma if they knew that if they knew that they could manage it better. But again, I would just say that, on the conception side of things, like as I said, I did IVF, and I actually developed OHSS.
What's that?
Hyperstimulation.
It's hyperstimulation, yes. That's when your eggs overstimulate and produce too many eggs. So actually, that's a life-threatening condition, by the way. So
it produces too much eggs?
Yes. So, and somebody even messaged me yesterday that happened to her as well. She watched the documentary and found out about my story. So I overstimulated eggs.
What triggered that?
Is the the drugs that I was given.
The treatment plan and all the because PCOS is just a condition whereby your hormones are everywhere. Because you have the wrong kinds of hormones high, very, very high. So it has triggered all sorts of imbalance in your body. And like she rightly said, It can affect your emotions, it can affect your mood, it can affect the way you see things, your perspective. You can be cranky. And if you are, just like we talked about menopause the last time, if you have people around you who cannot relate to what you're experiencing, then you would actually have issues even on the home front, or you're in your relationship with other people too.
So having a supportive partner is also very important.
Of course,
as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
But that OHSS, I looked like I was pregnant and I was in a wheelchair because I couldn't walk. My stomach was filled with liquid, and they had to, is it aspirate? We have to drain the fluid, out every day for 7 days. 7 days, yes. They aspirated, because I produced about like 28 eggs. Yeah, can you imagine? That's a lot of eggs.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about what you do professionally. Your work, you're a TV host, you're an actress. How have you been able to balance that life?
Yeah, I actually don't know.
I know your mood will be all over the place sometimes, but you have to be on set, or probably you have to produce. You have to, be on, host a show or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know how I'm able to just do that. How I've been able to just get on with it.
Work.
Yeah, because sometimes I've realized that sometimes people will be talking to me and I'll be smiling, and deep down I'm like crying. I'm crying inside. I can't tell anyone. I'm like, well, the show must go on. Yeah, people just come to me and ask me questions, and I'm just talking to them, but I'm like, I'm not really in the mood today, but I mean, this is my role. Yeah, but I can't explain to people, so it's fine. It's just one of those things. But that's the thing. Most women that have PCOS, or they wake up with different things happening to them, and they just have to get on with it, right? So
you guys. Stephanie Coker.
Oh no, I don't want to leave.
You're a strong woman. I am inspired by your story, because it takes a lot of guts for you to come out to tell your truth. Not a lot of people will do that, and the fact that you're a public figure would also inspire other ladies and young girls and women to actually open up about their story as well. Like, oh, she talked about it, so there's nothing to be shy about. Like, it's what I'm dealing with, and I can actually open up and tell my story. So I have to say thank you, because I almost cried when I was watching a bit of it. I was in my little corner on the floor, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe these women are dealing with this thing. I had no idea. And I think, what do you think what do we need to do more to create awareness?
Thank you. So I'm actually in talks, in conversation with the Ministry of Health, but I am going on a school tour, university tour. I'm focused more on the university tour because of the diagnostic testing that we want to do, and with the schools it's a bit tricky to get into the schools to do testing. So our aim is to test at least 1,000 girls and women with PCOS kits, and also we want to have like a ultrasound device and a doctor on site, so we can get them tested. I think that's the only way to go, to find out if they do have PCOS, so they can they can manage it earlier on. Because we can't have 1 in 6 women in Nigeria with PCOS, and then, because then that just means, 50% of women with PCOS will go on to have type 2 diabetes. That's what the statistics have shown. So that's another, so that's another treatment. Isn't there a way to
prevent that from happening?
It's part of the presenting symptoms, because in PCOS you have hormonal changes, like we said. There is hyperinsulinemia, you have high levels of insulin in the blood, and then you can also have associated insulin resistance. So when there's insulin resistance, your body is not sensitive to insulin, which is the hormone that controls carbohydrate metabolism. So you end up having features of high sugar in the blood. And typically, we also said there is associated obesity with PCOS. Obesity is also a risk factor for diabetes and even other cardiovascular issues. So basically, you can see how everything is cropping up and stemming up and bringing other things into it. So it can actually be a constellation of different conditions, originating from only PCOS. So you have your infertility, you have your cardiac issues, you have diabetes, which is an endocrine issue, and they are lifelong conditions that need to be managed, throughout a person's lifetime. For instance, if a person is diabetic, there's nothing like you're on treatment 3 days, like your malaria treatment, and you're done with it. You constantly need to be on medications, and you may constantly need to watch your diet permanently.
That's why we need to stop it before it gets to that stage. That's why we need to test these girls and manage the symptoms of PCOS earlier on, rather than it turning into type 2 diabetes and the rest.
Early detection is
Yes.
key. So when are you kicking off your tour?
Yeah, hopefully June. Hopefully May, June, and then we'll start again in September when the schools reopen.
And I'm sure you have other projects that you're working on.
I do, but I'm trying to get this out first. Yeah, so we need a lot of support.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You are.
So her documentary, Where the Heck is My... Oh, yes, I said I was going to ask you a question. I shall not forget. So it's one thing for you to do documentary, but how did you come up with the name? Is Where the Heck is My Period?
You know, I can't even take credit for that because I think we just kept talking about period on set. Like, oh, where is it? Oh, but so you haven't seen it? Did it? I mean, if I tell you the name, I actually suggested. I said me, her, and PCOS. My director said no, I don't like it.
Me, her.
You know, so what the hell is my period? I said, you can't say that other word.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So I said, okay, heck. And they were heck. And I was like, he was like, that's such a broad term. What do you kiss it? Okay, where the heck is my period? Okay, yes, where is it? Because it's missing.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's lost. And when it's found, please return it.
All right, so we got to go on a break. We will be back to Wellness Wednesday on Inspiration 92.3 FM. Interesting conversation that we have been having about PCOS. That is polycystic ovarian syndrome. In the studio, the beautiful Stephanie Coca. Oh my goodness. She's an award-winning television host, actress, producer, content creator, and an entrepreneur passionate about philanthropy, storytelling, family, women, and womanhood. And she has a new documentary out on Amazon Prime. It is called Where the Heck is My Period? And when you find it, you should what?
Please return
it back. So there was a question I wanted to ask. So a final word, if you're going to advise young ladies and young women out there who probably don't know what they're dealing with, or probably do, and trying to just deal with all the emotions and cope with everything, you know, trying to balance, it's a lot.
Yeah, I would first let them know that they're not alone. So they shouldn't feel like it's something that has happened to them and they're like on their own. There's so many women that are living with this. They should try to go to the hospital to really figure out a management system, like what they can do. So things that they should be doing, they shouldn't be doing. Then also I think you should think about like your fertility earlier on. So there are so many things you can do now, like freezing your eggs.
About freezing,
freezing your eggs earlier, even if you, not to put pressure on yourself actually. So if you freeze your eggs, you know, at least you have good quality eggs from a younger age, as opposed to when you're older and you also have PCOS. It's just going to make it even harder for you to conceive. And then I would say for people actually to be kinder and nicer, because I had a friend that told me that she didn't even know what PCOS was in secondary school, and they were quite mean to a girl that her period would always like just go on forever, or she just never had period pads with her. So when the girl was in their dorm, she would just really bleed for a long time, and then sometimes she wouldn't have a period for like months, and they'll just be like, what kind of woman is the girl is this, you know? They even be like, oh, she's dirty, that's why, you know. Or maybe she's so that girl, you know, imagine how she felt ostracized in school. And you know how kids can be mean, especially teenagers.
Yeah. And did you deal with that in school? Yes, you said you did.
So it's weird because everybody liked me in school. I was like popular, but I was okay, but it was more so to do with me. There was one girl that she said something about my excessive hair.
Mean girl.
Yeah, but it's fine. The only thing that really, really disturbed me was my hormonal acne. Because I didn't understand. Like, I'm like, but I'm washing my face. Like, why does this thing keep coming? Why? Until I went to the GP. And, you know, there's so many girls in school that don't have pimples.
At all.
Yeah, you know. But that's a normal thing as an adolescent to have acne.
Really, yeah.
But, it's still not cool. You don't really want to have acne.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So we have a message here. And this lady said, I have a sister with PCOS. I'm feeling emotional. I agree with everything that has been said. Thank you very much, Fejiro. I'm still shocked. You're strong.
I don't know. I always just smile when people say that. I don't really understand the gravity.
No, understanding and hearing you tell your story and everything that you've dealt with and you're still dealing with, and you're strong, and I admire that, and I'm very happy, and thank you for the documentary.
Thank you.
Put out. Doctor, final word.
Well, my final word is
advice to ladies who probably don't know what symptoms that they should look out for and how they should take care of themselves, lifestyle changes.
Okay, it's important for everybody to have an idea of what the condition is, have a good understanding of it, and it is not only for people who live with the condition, but people who are related to them, people they come in contact with on a daily basis. Everybody, is part of the support system. So the individual must realize that they are not alone. It's not unusual. It is not something spiritual. There's an explanation for it.
They're not responsible for it.
They're not responsible for it, exactly. So it is not your fault. There's no need to be guilty. And apparently there are solutions that you can work out with your doctor. Though it's a long-term management,
but how about those who cannot even afford
because that's another thing.
Well, the truth is, that's why part of this last word goes to different directions. Goes to the people living with it, goes to the government, goes to our religious institutions, goes to our educational institutions. Everybody must be aware of this condition. So when you see people who are living with this condition, we can support them adequately, like they deserve to be supported. And parents in particular must also know that this condition exists. And if it does exist, you must give all the support to your teen girl, because at this point she's not aware of what's going on with her. So do not be afraid to go and see a health practitioner, and let a health practitioner give you the best treatment or management modalities, so that you can follow them earlier on, so that you can get a better outcome, because fertility is important, especially in a young lady's life. And then you want to also make sure that when you see people having acne outbreaks, like she rightly said, it will just be the first point at sometimes. You may know you have menstrual irregularities, and some people would say, well, I have acne outbreaks during my period, I think it's normal. Well, yes, sometimes you can have acne outbreaks around your normal menstrual period, but when you now notice menstrual irregularity happening constantly, and you're having this acne outbreak, then the hair distribution, the male pattern hair distribution, or you're gaining weight without trying, or you find out that it's either you don't see your period at all for months and you're not pregnant, please do not keep quiet. This is the time to actually find out and investigate, with a good gynecologist, and let proper management begin. And as for the lifestyle changes, you can't be wrong to always exercise. Exercise is good for everybody.
Rich.
We need to exercise to stay healthy. We need it for our hearts, we need it for our muscles, we need it for our joints, and then to maintain a healthy weight. And that also reduces your chances of developing type 2 DM, which is associated with being overweight. And then of course we can't just eat anything. We've spoken about this several times. We have to be intentional with what we eat, with our diet, and always make sure that
a friend of mine told me yesterday that the mouth is the gateway to, like, you can control a lot of things.
Absolutely.
By controlling what you put in here.
And
absolutely.
what comes out.
Very true, very true, very true.
Where can people get tested? Can you get tested at any hospital in Lagos? She laughed. I don't know why she cracked up. Why did she crack up?
It's not cheap.
Absolutely. Well, yes, because most hormonal tests are not cheap. True. And it's important for us to realize that although they are not cheap, but they are available all the same. So that is where the support system comes in. So we can appeal to non-governmental organizations, we can appeal to philanthropists, we can appeal to people who would like to support people and be impactful, and join hands to make most of our health challenges be a thing of the past, or at least we can reduce them to the barest minimum, even if we can't completely eradicate them. So you have very good diagnostic centers all across Lagos and all across Nigeria. You have wonderful hospitals too. In as much as we say it's a diagnosis that is constantly missed, but we still have some great doctors in this country.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, we still have some wonderful doctors in this country who know their onions well.
Like yourself.
Thank you so much. So it's important that we do all that, and we wish everybody the very best in managing their PCOS.
Thank you so much, and thank you too for the tour.
I would just say, to the statistics, there are 6 women in this room and 1 has PCOS. So the statistics are actually quite accurate.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Somebody said, please repeat the full meaning of PCOS again. It is polycystic ovarian
syndrome.
Thank you so much, Stephanie Coca.
Yes. Thank you so much. And please, everyone should feel free to DM me on Instagram at Stephanie Coker.
All right, fantastic. And check out her documentary, please.
Yes.
It's not just for women, but for men as well. All right, so everybody is on Amazon Prime. The name of the documentary is Where the Heck Is My Period. I love saying it. I love saying it. Where the heck is my period? So go check it out. Thank you for coming, Dr. Charles. Always a pleasure having you in the studio. Wellness Wednesday, every single Wednesday from 11 a.m. all the way to 12. We'll be back.
Did you enjoy this video? Hit the subscribe button for more. Leave a comment and like. Thank you.